What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. I'm George. And whoa, you. Yeah, you. And your friend watching too. You subscribed? You like? Well, if you haven't already, like the video. Subscribe to the channel. If you DM us your address for a like, we might even throw some Feta your way, but you know, we got to keep that on the down low. But if you haven't, hit that like, hit that subscribe. It really helps out the channel, especially with providing more content and being able to, you know, showcase these cars and progress on further. It really helps us. So if you like what you see, if you like what you have seen, if you've been watching our videos, keeping it on your favorite tabs, but you haven't subscribed, about 75% of our viewers aren't subscribed. So board the Feta train, help us out, hit that like, hit that subscribe, and we really appreciate it. That being said, again, I'm George. Welcome back to the channel. This is Malaka MotorSports. Today we're going to be doing the first drive with the RS3, VR6 VR3. Before we do that, we need to tidy up some things. So we got the car idling, firing, revving. Cyvex is really happy with the way that things look, but we don't know if the car moves, number one. And even idling, we noticed some issues. So I have a little app that I use on my iPhone. I'll do a little screenshot for you so I can show you guys what it looks like. But essentially, let me pull it up on my phone real quick. We got a couple issues, okay? I gotta fix a coolant leak that's towards the front of the motor on the return on the radiator. I don't know where it's leaking from. It's just seeping from one of the lines. I don't know if a clamp has to get tightened. I don't know if a fitting has to get re-welded. I'm not sure if it's seeping out of one of the welding, the aluminum fittings that I welded. I'm not sure, but we'll go through that in this video to make sure she's buttoned up. I got an oil cooler leak that's dripping a little bit of oil on the fitting. It looks like the line is soaking up, which again, I'll show you as we progress in this video. And luckily I have enough spare 10AN line here. We could just remake the line and just call it a day. So we got to replace that. She's not leaking like squirting out, but it is dripping. All right, guys, it's dripping and I just don't want to cause any issues. I just want to avoid making a mess underneath the car. And if I can avoid, you know, and fix anything now before going on the maiden drive, I'm just gonna do it now, and we can do that quickly here in this video. I got a fuel tank leak actually. So on one of the previous videos in this RS3 playlist, I modified the top of the RS3 fuel tank cover, drilling, adding a bulkhead fitting. So this way the return style fueling system that we put on the RS3, on the VR6, is able to dump back the return fuel back into the tank. When I reinstalled this plastic cover, I may have not situated the rubber gasket, which again, I'll get into later on in this video, and she's just seeping from the back side of it. In fact, I have a little picture of just the pool that's back there. Don't want to drive the car as is. It's leaking fuel in the back of the fuel tank. The exhaust is back there. Again, to avoid a Greek Feta-fueled fireball, we're just going to fix that now just to make sure that we're good, and then we're going to get it idling and running here in this video. We're just going to look at it for a few minutes. If there's no leaks, no issues, we're going to go on the drive. Lastly, we have to add an oil temp sensor, which we're going to do in a couple videos. So we added every sensor thought possible. We forgot oil temperature. I know, we forgot it. And it's displayed actually on the Audi RS3 cluster. So I'll show you guys a little section. It reads now at 310 degrees, but because it doesn't have an input. So I ordered the sensor. We spoke with Ryan at Cyvex and found one online. I ordered it. Should be here sometime next week. We'll wire that up, but we can drive the car till then. Just something that I really want to have. I want to have oil temp, coolant pressure. We have a lot of other goodies that we wired into. We'll get into details as we're tuning with Cyvex down the road. But just understand that's something that we have to add, and I wanted to include it here in this video. I got to bleed the brakes. Make sure she's fully bled, make sure we have no issues. I gotta run a vacuum line to the brake booster from the engine. Make sure that the brake booster itself, master cylinder, is getting vacuum pressure or vacuum, at least a vacuum from the engine. So we'll do that here too. And then we're gonna install the 034 ZTF wheels with the Toyo tire. So right now, I have the Hoosier drag radials on my 18-inch TSWs. And don't get me wrong, the Hoosier DR2s are amazing for drag racing. They're amazing for ripping it up in the quarter mile. Hell, they're even amazing in the half mile, okay? The only issue that I have is I don't want to drive around the street and destroy them. In fact, they're about a couple years old already and pretty much on their way out, and I don't want to drive regularly on the street with them. They don't do well on water, and I don't think in Southern California I'm going to have an issue with getting in a mass rainstorm anytime soon, but I have a set of Toyo T1Ss or the T1 Sports on my 034 ZTF wheels, which we're going to be installing after we bleed the brakes. So now I can drive on the street without having to worry about the tire hitting a nail, puncturing, or anything like that. I mean, mind you can still hit a nail with a regular tire and still be fucked, but in general, guys, what I'm trying to say is I'm reducing my chances of having an issue by taking off drag radials meant for the track and throwing on street tires. With that being said, let's get the button this car up so we can go on its maiden voyage. Again, we want to make sure that the transmission engages, there's no errors. We've seen shops take these transmissions apart and have a ton of issues trying to put them back together and then getting it reading right, mechatronics failing and all that other jazz. I'm not looking to get involved with that mess, but I need to ensure that the transmission communicates. I need to make sure it gets into gear, and I need to make sure while it's driving, it actually changes gear and functions just like a normal RS3 transmission. Now, the engine is not load tuned. It's just base file just for idling. I'm pretty sure I can get rolling around the neighborhood, so, but I'm not going to be getting into boost. At least I don't think so. Yeah, maybe we can try. We'll see what happens. But ultimately, my main focus here is just getting into gear, getting it rolling, not seeing any issues or errors on the dashboard, making sure that nothing stalls while the transmission is shifting. If that happens, then that's going to be a huge load off our back. That's going to be a huge relief, and then we can progress on with the built engine, but we'll update that at the end of the video. So I think it's about a 5-minute intro. I'm sorry for dragging it, but I need to get this information out to you guys. You guys have been messaging us, commenting. The support on Instagram has been amazing, guys. Thank you so much. On YouTube. So hopefully this kind of lays it all out on the table and gives you guys some clear picture of what's going on and where we're going and how we're moving forward. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, put them in the comments section below. Be more than happy. We answer about 99.9% of all the questions and comments made in our videos, along with our stuff on Instagram, even the stuff on Reddit that we just started posting on too. So you can catch us at Malaka Motorsports at Reddit, and we respond to all of them, post on them, and try to get as much information as we can out there. So while Cleo's all the way in the back, looking outside, making sure that no one's going to come in here and take the VR6, we're going to start buttoning this thing up. I'm going to show you guys, as we're removing it, what's leaking, what we need to fix, and how we fix it here in this video.
Seat, and as you can see on the back side of that, it's a little shiny, and it's a little wet, and there's some fuel seeping towards the back side of this cover. Now, it's a plastic cover that I think we should probably make a billet cover for. Probably gonna have to make that before we start making some serious power. And then it tightens down with this pressure thing that you basically just kind of hammer to the side with a screwdriver, and it just tightens down under these clips. So I think what I'm gonna do, yeah, you can see that fuel just kind of chilling on the back side of this. I'm gonna loosen it, resituate this little orange gasket that's over here, make sure that it's not torn, and then reinstall it. So it looks like I may have messed up that gasket install. It looks like it may have sunk underneath here in the corner, as it's visible everywhere else but over here. So I'll reseat it, and then get it installed and hopefully not have any more leaks. So small issues, but this is some of the stuff that I don't want to have problems with. Is this is about 3 feet away from the front seat, so I don't want to have any problems with fueling dripping down the back of the fuel tank when it's not supposed to. So let's get that fixed.
Oh, here's the rubber gasket that goes around it. I don't see, wait, I just shot myself in the foot. I told myself I didn't see any tears, but there's the tear right there. Look at that. Shit. Look at that. God damn it. Yeah, it's torn right there at the top. That's why it's leaking. That's why it's seeping fuel for this part. Is there a part number on this? There should be, being that it's from Audi. Yes, it is. All right, so I'm going to look up the part number real quick, see how fast I can order it, and then I'm going to look for an in-house solution. But that is torn. That's why that's leaking. That sucks.
And with the power of magic, all nice and dry. Hopefully no more leaking, no more seeping. We haven't started the car yet, but it's no longer pooling in the back, even just sitting as before the gasket was ripped. So we're done. We'll leave that open just in case we got to deal with it again, and we'll move on with the coolant leaks. So let's zoom out a little bit. So ended up taking the oil cooler line off. There's 2 of them for feed and return. This one wasn't leaking. There's nothing soaked. There's nothing seeping. But towards the end of this, you guys can tell. And this is about I'd say going on an 8-year-old line now, from when we first made lines for the 2.8 24 valve VR6 in my B5S4 that I borrowed. I was like, well, I'm just gonna steal these, they work. Well, midway through I actually had to shorten it up, so I cut it here, shortened it up, and I probably most likely didn't do a good job rethrowing on this fitting, and it's just seeping, and it's just slowly dripping. Now, it doesn't seep a lot, but it seeps enough to the point where it gets annoying, and I don't want oil getting all under the car, especially while driving. So just a simple, easy fix. I have a whole bunch of spare line that I've been, keeping here over the years. I have a bunch of 12 AN, 16 AN, 10, 8, 6, whatever. So I'm just going to use a whole new section. I'm going to remake it from top to bottom. I'll make it a little bit longer too, so a little bit more flexibility in the length and routing it behind the bumper. But this is what I'm just going to remove real quick. I'm going to see the damage. I'll show you guys as soon as I pull it off. It looks a little deformed, so maybe it pulled out. I'm not sure. And it looks maybe a little crooked. Maybe I didn't install it right. Yeah, that's probably what happened. All right, let me pull this apart. Two different ends. So you can see one is dry towards the bottom and the other one is soaking wet on top. That's where it's seeping through on the fitting. And the one on the bottom actually was working really well. So just a human error. I messed that up. I'm going to recut a new line, add the new fittings back on. But yeah, that's where it was seeping from. Literally the top of that, where it's supposed to swedge and kind of press itself in there. So I may have not used enough lube. I may have, torn up the rubber and kind of eaten it up where it wasn't sealing. But, $20 worth of line, simple mistake, but definitely not something I want to get stranded over the road or just get fluid all over the bottom of the car. So easy fix. New line made, installed, nice and dry, a little bit more straight I think, so I might have installed it a little crooked. Plus I recut the lines with the new line to make sure that it does swedge down and does crimp down. Okay, so she doesn't leak oil, coolant, or fuel. Vacuum lines, like I said before, the last clip is done. And now I need to bleed the brakes. Well, Stav's not available, so I got no two-person team to bleed this thing. So I went to AutoZone, very skeptically bought this little $14 bleeder, this little OEM Tools one-man bleeder. Let me tell you something, best 14 bucks I ever spent. Was able to bleed the brakes, not the Blakes. With this little hose that was attached to it was pretty cool. I had to learn it on the fly. I was Googling, but this was able to go to the top of the bleeder. This was able to go to the bottle. And then there's a little magnet that goes in the back of this thing, which is pretty cool. And it holds it up, and you get to see if there's air traveling through the line, and then you just stop when it's clear, then you tighten the bleeder. It's actually pretty nice. You don't have to have somebody else just kind of hang around and help you, especially something so mundane as like bleeding the brakes. Bleeding the brakes. Damn it. So I think we're ready, guys. She doesn't leak. She doesn't overheat. The brakes are bled. You guys want to see if she can get in gear? Now listen, it is roughly 9 o'clock at night right now. I've been pretty much working on this thing all day, fixing leaks, pretty much tidying up the bay, throwing on the 034 wheels. I don't know if you guys saw that. Wheels are looking really, really nice. The ZTF wheels, they're back on the car. But I wanted to clean up, get nice and fresh. We'll get the fire extinguisher, we'll get it in the car just in case, and we'll see first. Well, maybe I'm getting ahead of myself. We don't know if this fucking thing goes in gear. And I'm willing to take this L, like I said, on this video. We want to make sure the electronics are working. We want to make sure it's communicating. We want to make sure the transmission is working just like it was if the 5-cylinder engine was in there, in drive, moving up gears, in manual, moving up gears. The only downside to this is that, again, the car is not like dyno tuned or low tuned. It's just a rough base file just for idling and maybe some revving. So I'm going to move as best as I can if we can get this thing in gear. Go around the block, maybe around the neighborhood. Hopefully the brakes work and hopefully they stop. But guys, this is make or break right now for us right now because I don't know if any of this stuff is going to work. So, all right, it's the next day. I'm cleaned up. I got the wheels on, torqued. I think we're going to try to attempt to get this thing in gear. Again, I'm willing to take this L on this video live. Technically live as we're filming, and this footage is going to make it to the video whether it moves or it doesn't. Starts, but does she move? So I'm going to set and let it idle for maybe 2-3 minutes. So I'll cut the footage here, and then I'll cut it again once she's ready to move, or if the attempt for the first move out of the garage with the transmission instead of rolling it on neutral. So let it idle for about a minute or two, and I'll be right back.
Let's pull it out. Let's see if it actually gets into gear. You think it's gonna get into gear? You think I'm gonna take this L? You think it's gonna fail? I don't know. I don't know. We'll see if it just moves on its own. And then we'll worry about getting into other gears and so on and so forth. So baby steps. It got out on its own. Baby steps, baby steps. Let's go for a drive and see if it gets into drive, see if it changes gears. I don't know if I can get on it, again, base map tune, but I'll try. What's the worst that could happen with a cast internal old VR6 that's been sitting in the junkyard for a few years with a 79mm turbo? We'll just get to driving first, baby steps, guys. But it moves on its own. No transmission errors so far. So far, knock on shit, knock on wood. All right, let's get there. All right. Fire extinguisher check, tools check. It's a little windy today. We'll try to get as much sound for you guys as possible. Hopefully you guys can hear it. Coolant temp looks to be on point. Drive. No errors. Hey! She changes gear into drive. Third gear. It's working. Watch it just blow up. It's moving. I forgot what this car felt like moving. Okay, coolant temp looks to be respectable. It's moving! This is the farthest the car has gone in like 8 months. Alright, let's go into manual and the downshift. Yep, downshift. Oh, it's so rough. It's so rough. It's so rough. The base file. Do not drive in a base file. Do not be like me. Oh, this is ridiculous. All right, we're gonna go. Oh man, it's rough. But it's moving. That exhaust sounds so loud though. I think I might have to muffle it. Temp seems okay. 83 Celsius. So I think we're okay. I don't see any smoke yet from the car. I don't want to jam it because she's on a rough base file. But I won't lie to you, this is, man, they told us it'd take us 5 years just to get to this point, or even just starting.
Something's rubbing in the back. You hear that squeaking? Oh, this is good, guys. This is real good. Well, I think it's the exhaust rubbing on the, I have to adjust it now with the new setup. Pretty sure I have to adjust it. Oh, it sounds so rough. Just base file tuned and I'm putting load on it. Again, every tuner is cringing right now. But you know what? I don't give a fuck. Just a stock motor. We want to see if the car works, it drives. It looks like it's at least working for the most part. Squeak, 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 squeak. Oh no, it's good. Watch something really bad happen now though. Still good on coolant temp. I am smelling a little bit of oil though. Maybe it's one of the residual lines leaking. I'm not gonna go too far. I want to go over and double check. I think I got the exhaust screeching pretty much everywhere. Let's just make sure nothing's leaking. Again, this is the first drive on this bastard fucking swap. All right, let's check. I just want to look in the front and make sure nothing's leaking. I think we're okay. I think we're okay. Oh shit. There's probably gonna be things that we're gonna have to remake here. Oh man. Oh. Let me flip the camera this way. We made it like a mile away from home. 86 on coolant temp. I'm gonna have to adjust the exhaust as you hear it rubbing on that valence in the back. And you can hear the motor, it's not really tuned for load. So I'm gonna go as far as I can. I'm only about a mile or two away from the house. Luckily I live on the west side of town, so there's just open fields and stuff. So we're gonna drive all the way out there. Hold on, let me adjust this so you guys don't have just, hopefully there's not a lot of wind noise on this, guys. Hopefully I'm gonna try to get as much sound free as possible. It does sound, listen, I'm not gonna lie, it does sound really rough. Just being on just being on this base file. Oh, she's in 7th gear now, in D7. But transmission's working, nothing's popping up as an error. Electronically, everything's working. My cell phone's charging. It's charging the GoPro now. The GoPro actually was on a low battery. But man, this is working. This is working. All right, so we got it moving with stock clutch, stock flywheel, stock motor. Electronics look good, and I'm not gonna like brag too much now, as there's no point in bragging, but this is where we want it to be. Obviously not scratching in the back with the exhaust rubbing against the valence, but you got to understand, we had no idea this was going to even work. We had absolutely no idea. People were telling us it's never going to work, it's going to be an issue, you're going to have problems. There was a lot of stuff said from the get-go. So I don't think we understand the transmission fully, as there's still a lot more to learn. Man, that exhaust is loud. But overall, I think we're a lot more comfortable working on this car. So I'd like to do the diff. I'd like to do the diff in the car. Would definitely like to do that. Maybe upgrade the rear diff as well. Upgrade some hardware. Upgrade the drive shaft, as it still has a stock drive shaft to it. But
mean, the dashboard's super clear, and it looks good, guys. Man, I wish Tom was here. I wish Tom was here to check this out. This is cool. We're cruising at 60 miles an hour now with wind coming into the car, and it just sounds glorious. Coolant temps look reasonable, all right? They don't look like they're super climbing anywhere. We got a lot of cool air. It's not that hot. Ambient temp is only 87 degrees here in California, up in Lancaster where I live. But I'm gonna go as far as I can out to the fields, take some pictures, sit down, talk to you guys for a minute. But it's moving, and it's driving, and this is amazing. Oh, so, I don't know. Fuck, I almost feel like we should have put the built motor together, that I should have had more faith, and we'd be at the dyno shop right now tuning, throwing power at this thing. But either way, we're still waiting on an upgraded billet flywheel. The HD 1400 clutches, we're still waiting on those. So we're not gonna be able to make power and launch it and have some fun either way with the built motor until we get that stuff in. So DCT is cramming away, knocking those things out for us. Hopefully we have that. Hopefully we have that in the next few weeks. And then by then I'll have the built motor sorted, I'll have it machined, and then we can start doing the assembly on the channel. Man. We were taking pictures of the VR6 valve cover on top of the 5-cylinder engine a couple years ago as a fucking joke. And here I am with a 3.2 R32 engine in my RS3. Man, that exhaust sounds so rough. Yeah, that sounds really rough. Okay, let me check coolant. Coolant still looks good. I got it in about 5th gear in manual mode. Manual mode in an automatic transmission. But I'm gonna cruise up, and we're gonna stop here at the end of the road all the way by like 130th West. All right, and we're gonna pull over, we're gonna talk, take some pictures, we're gonna recap. I got a wind sock on the big cameras, hopefully the wind doesn't screw us up too much. But guys, thank you so much for the support from me and Stav, for helping us get this far and sticking with us as we were painfully posting pictures of the car during this mock-up on our Instagram. And I know progress seemed like it was going so slow, but trust me, it was so monumental just moving step by step to this point. So there's a few things we're gonna have to sort out. Obviously the exhaust is really loud. I'm gonna have to sort that's 4-inch all the way back straight pipe. I'm not sure I like the 4-inch straight pipe, but I have to throw something in the muffle on there. And we're gonna have to start taking a look at the spare block for the built motor and start assembling that. And we'll get into the build, into the parts, and the things that we've chosen to use with the R30 3.2 engine. But man, the cool thing about living at Lancaster as a New Yorker, I never had any of this stuff unless you had to drive out to fucking Long Island or all the way out there for fucking hours. 10 minutes and nothing as far as the eye can see, as far as just fields. It's just so open and beautiful here. A lot of the people here in Lancaster, they don't really like the area, but I love it. It's just so beautiful, it's open. I'm not into off-road vehicles, but maybe I should get into. But maybe coming out here with an off-road vehicle, having some fun. All this land is just here and it's just so beautiful. Except for all the solar panels that they started installing out here. Other than that, it is really nice. All right, coolant temp still looks decent. I'm gonna pull up to my little secret spot here that I like to pull over, have some fun, and maybe take a couple pictures. That exhaust is still rubbing that valence in the back. All right, coolant temps still look good. So Golf R, that's all the way in front of us. Coolant temps still look good. What's kind of cool is you can hear that R rumble in the higher gears, about 60 miles an hour. I love that. But we're gonna have to help it out with a little muffle, man, just to kind of clear it up. I don't really like too much rasp. This video is probably gonna be like 30 minutes, fuck it. Oh my God. Oh, it's moving. And we're at highway speed, 70 miles an hour, holy crap. So exciting. All right, I'm gonna slow down here. Brakes work. That little power bleeder works. I ended up bleeding the brakes by myself using this little self bleeder, and she stops just fine. And I even did it on an incline, which you're not supposed to do any of that stuff on an incline. Oh, a lot of tumbleweeds. All right, so I'm gonna pull over. We're still very decent on coolant temp, very decent, still looking good. We ended up deleting the 2 spare radiators that are in the corner. We're only using the main front one, but it's only 87 degrees. So with the higher ambient temps, we may need to throw one of those back on or upgrade the radiator just to battle the heat. You know, Audi engineers, they knew that this car was gonna get a lot of heat. They knew everything's enclosed and they wanted it to cool properly, especially with the transmission being cool and cooled through the top of the heat exchanger. So with that being said, guys, you know, right now it's only 87, technically 95, oh, technically 90, 95 degrees. But overall, you know, we may have an issue later on as we start to beat on this car, launch it, and make more power. Well, make power in general. Right now, we're not making nothing. So just keep that in mind. This is still a very temporary setup. We may need to change a lot of things in this car. I deleted things just out of ease, but, you know, Audi engineers, these guys make top dollar, and these guys, they spend all this time and money on learning this stuff. Believe me, they probably know what's up. So let me pull over. I'm gonna double check the car. I'll take the camera out with the little windsock. It's a bit windy out here. Hopefully we get hit too much, but we'll showcase what the car looks like on the outside, okay?
Man, is it windy out here. Fans are going. Nothing's exploded yet. Oh, man. About a few miles away from home. Not that far. But we made it. Dash looks good. Car needs to be cleaned. I ended up denting this car, working on it on the fenders. But man, it's getting there, guys. It is getting there. Whew. Out in the middle of nowhere is a little spot that I like to come chill, take photos. As you notice in some of our earlier photos, we came out here to do some off-road testing with the RS3 when it was still stage 2 stock turbo, and then we came here when it was big turbo. Hopefully this windsock better work for 20 bucks. Oh, guys. About a 3-mile trip so far is the longest this car's driven with the VR, stock VR. That be beyond excited. Let's get this car home. We'll cruise on the way back. We'll talk a little bit more. But so far things look good. Coolant temperatures look respectable. We'll get it back, double check everything, and then we'll progress on with another video this week as we continue on with the RS3 build. So yeah, let's do that. I'm gonna take some photos out here, turn this car around, do a little photo op for the douchebag Instagram side of things when it comes to Malaka Motorsports. But guys, thanks so much for sticking with us. Thanks so much for believing in us. Thanks for all the positive. And those of you guys with the negative comments, thanks for that too. Because believe it or not, the negative comments is what kept this going. All the shade about even getting it firing, let alone moving, let alone driving. You know, 7.5, 8 months, this thing's running and driving, and there's people building these things for about a year or 2, 3 years and still haven't made a single pass. So with 7.5, 8 months in, with a custom engine swap, we're gonna work on the built motor, we're gonna work on some other things, and then we're gonna start making some power and then straight to the track. Half mile, quarter mile, we're gonna have some fun with this car and see how far we can push this engine, this car, with our design and our stuff, just us. Anyway, you know what? Let's cut this video off right here. Guys, thank you again so much. We appreciate everything. I hope you guys liked the video. If you have, hit that like, hit that subscribe. But we're just getting started, guys. Just getting started. Thank you again for sticking around, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.